What's the best show on television?
Oh boy, Game of Thrones.
Why do you say that? Why does everybody say that?
I don't know.
I like Game of Thrones. I want to be on record saying that I like Game of Thrones.
Okay.
But it's not the best show on TV. It's not even top 10.
All right, The Expanse.
Okay. Well, we always talk about The Expanse.
Yeah.
I really enjoy The Expanse.
I do too.
But if I had to put a critical eye to it, and once again, I should clarify, probably best genre show on TV. Like This Is Us is not going to be part of this conversation,
all right,
or whatever else is really going on.
Right.
If it was a couple years ago, Rectify was the best show on TV.
Sure.
Not a genre show though. I'm talking genre shows.
Yeah.
And I guess the way I want this to go is, Legion's the best show on TV.
You think so?
Absolutely. It is doing things that nobody else is doing, and nobody knew. You heard, okay, character tangentially connected to the X-Men, right?
Right.
This is not going to be an X-Men show.
Right.
They have created an X-Men show. This is an X-Men show.
Yeah.
In all but name.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, The Gifted. I haven't seen you. I've heard you're good as well, though. But nobody is doing what... By he I mean Noah Hawley is doing with this show. And what I love about it so much is, well, a couple different things, and I know you like it too, so feel free to spout off whether or not you believe that it's the best show on TV. But it is so cinematic. But what I mean by that is, well, I'm not sure if I mean this. What I'm saying is that they show and not tell, and they do it constantly.
Yeah.
They have a lot of complicated things to get across, things that, sure, a comic fan would get like that, but somebody at home wouldn't necessarily. And so how do you explain to the people at home but not bore the people who know it already? Mm-hmm. And the answer is you do what they're doing, and you do these incredible visuals that are conceived of and designed, from the beginning to be part of this. It's not like they just came up with a script. David has to say this or do something with his mind or something like that. Hawley's writing it. And I think from the beginning he's saying, we open on a thing lit only by red neon tubes or something like that.
Right.
And the camera slowly pans, and they're doing all these techniques. And I think, I'm not sure if it was on a previous show, but I know that I've commented to strangers on the street before that they're doing amazing visual effects that are clearly cheap.
Uh-huh.
And I mean cheap, they don't look cheap, but he goes and talks to his girlfriend in the future, and it's just black background, 2 potted plants, and then like 3 neon tubes that sort of suggest a door like he has sort of come through.
Right.
And neon is a theme because she writes with her finger. She's clearly got a LED on her finger, and then they do like the slow motion or fast motion photography type thing. All of this costs $82. You know what I mean? It's whereas you could spend hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars doing it in CGI, and yet it's just so cleanly done. I would compare it to the works of Michel Gondry. Not quite so mind freaky, but also taking everyday objects, taking in-camera techniques, and using it to create this world, which is 90% of the show takes place inside people's brains.
That's true.
And instead of I'm floating, the astral plane, they use, clearly the sets and the location shooting is probably the most expensive part, but if they want to do something in a fancy garden, in a mansion, they're there, and later on they're in a desert, and then they're somewhere else, and they're somewhere else, or they're on a soundstage. Or they want to show you that they're on a soundstage. You see, behind the flats and things like that, because that's part of what they're trying to communicate. And they got John Hamm. Come on!
I know.
Come on!
I know.
How is this not the best show on TV? And just as a fan who is familiar with this material, I have to say that they're doing a great job for the material as well. They are cleaving exactly to, not exactly, you don't have to follow word for word like the plot lines of the books, but the spirit is there so much that when they do something, I know what's going to happen 5 minutes beforehand. And I'm not disappointed about that. Instead, it's that great fan adaptation thing where you're seeing something, they're doing it. They're doing that. And they're doing it right. Mm-hmm. You see, we've been introduced to the original form of the Shadow King in this now the second season, Amal Farouk. And there's just a quick scene where you see him in a restaurant, and it's lit in a weird Noah Hawley kind of way. Mm-hmm. And then in the reflection of his mirrored sunglasses, you see what looks like gunfire and shooting and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And then he drops dead in his hummus.
Yeah.
And that is in the comics, Professor X killed him, basically. Like, Charles Xavier met him in Egypt or whatever, and they had this famous psychic battle where they were at two different tables in a restaurant and having this war on this astral plane, but nothing physically, which is a very Legion show thing to do. And they suggest it just with that, and then, boom, we know what happened, or maybe we don't, but I do, and we move on. So I guess the question that I'm leading to now is, when is Charles Xavier going to be on the show?
That's a good question.
He has to.
Yeah.
And we got to recast him.
Yeah.
You have to.
Because
Stewart's too old, McAvoy's too young.
Yeah.
Are we leading up to John Hamm is Professor Charles Xavier?
That would be awesome.
What do we think about when we think about thinking? That's what I want to see.
That would be great.
I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
And then you get things like the Carries, where I don't know. Maybe it's a Mike Allred like ecstatics character or something like that, but I don't know that character. That's just something that they went, that would fit in this world.
Right.
And then you have he's got to teach her to poop.
Yeah.
I've been waiting 11 episodes for him to teach her to poop, and
Oh
they
my
did
God.
it. They pulled it off.
Yeah, they did.
They pushed it out. Don't do that. So anyway, if you're not watching Legion, listener, you have to watch Legion. You are missing something incredibly special, which I think they got a number 3, didn't they? They're going on to season 3. So yeah, now we've got enough to really, set ourselves, like the first season was short. It's like 8 episodes, and it was very tightly plotted, but who knows if you're going to get another one. And now the show's been able to slow down, but also get really weird as well.
Yes.
I love the floating boat restaurant.
Yes.
Which I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Is it only cold food?
I imagine it's mostly sushi.
Right, but there's I guess I've seen puddings and stuff like that, but they're having hot dumplings and stuff.
That's
How do
true.
they keep the hot stuff hot and the cold stuff cold?
I don't know. It's a good
McDLT
question.
technology here. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, people, please watch this show. And it's not even you don't have to feel like you're doing some charity work. It's doing okay.
Yeah.
So you owe it to yourself to watch Legion, and that's my Legion plug. We're not paid by Legion or FX, and maybe check out The Gifted too. I don't know. Someday I will. Just no time.
I know it's hard.
I sit here going off for 5 minutes about how great Legion is, and we're behind.
I
think
know
they're
we are.
almost done, and we're only 3 or 4 in because we're watching all these other good shows.
Yeah.
So anyway, we don't have time for that.
Yep.
We have no time this week.
That's
We
right.
got a lot to get through. It's the Just Enough Trope Podcast. I'm your host. What was my name? I tried to do it really fast, and I blew it. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
And we do have a lot to get through today. So much that we're actually going to do some stuff next week instead. Speaking of TV stuff, there's some new TV stuff we want to get to, and we're not going to do that this week because we got to blow through this stuff.
That's
so
right.
much stuff is happening. It's a summer. E3 was this weekend. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are kind of come out video game wise, but don't have a lot of time to do that. But we'll do that. We'll talk about news. We'll do a news rally and just blast through some of the news items. A lot of trailers has come out recently. Want to maybe make some comments about those trailers and do that. What else are we doing? Oh yeah, and then of course our feature, what we mentioned last week. I don't think we mentioned it last week. I'm very bad at this. But what we are doing is we are looking at Catwoman, the character Catwoman, specifically through the first 4 issues of her 2002 relaunch by Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook, thought of by most as, like Legion, best TV show, best Catwoman comics of all time, and some of the best comics of that year. And that would be hard to argue. And we're going to look at the character herself as a whole, the 9 lives of Catwoman, if you will.
Sure.
By looking at some of her other incarnations and reboots and whatnot. Did I get it all?
I think so.
And a partridge in the pear tree, which is being very quiet right now. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Cal.
Good.
It's a little hot.
Oh,
but,
it's always hot.
But
We always talk about
working
that.
through it.
Talk about how hot it is.
Yeah, I know.
But we got some hot stuff.
Yeah.
We got to talk about it.
That's true.
So let's do the news. Here's the news. We blast it out. You want to hear more? You let me know.
Okay.
Remember, it's a zombie apocalypse.
Yep.
Okay? You've got a revolver with 6 bullets in it.
Okay.
Now, there are a billion zombies.
Yep.
I guess you're already screwed. I'm not sure what you have to live for in this case.
Great.
But let's say you save one for yourself, right?
Uh-huh.
So let's say you've got 5 bullets.
Okay.
You have to really want to kill these. If Zombie Tucker Max walks by,
Yeah.
shoot him 5 times, right?
Uh-huh.
But do you understand? Because I know you're going to say go on the first story that I read.
I understand what you're saying.
And a lot of these stories are just a headline. So it's up to you.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do this and then for a few minutes, and then we'll talk about E3 and also movie trailers.
Okay.
GameStop's disturbing Ray Rice tweet met with backlash.
I don't know who Ray Rice is.
Well, then I guess we'll just move right on.
Okay.
It looks like a new Kick-Ass and Kingsman film and TV projects in the works.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Let's move on.
Okay. Netflix. Oh, speaking of Mark Miller, Netflix and Mark Miller's Magic Order comic hits 20-year pre-order high.
Pre-order high. So people have pre-ordered it?
Are you
I guess I'm clicking on
clicking on it to know more? I'm sure, as you know, because we reported it on the show, Netflix has teamed up with Mark Miller, the creator of Kick-Ass, Kingsman, and all that other good stuff. Being nice,
We're
good
being
stuff.
nice.
To publish their own comics. Netflix is getting in the comics game.
Okay.
As long as they end up
I
in
did not
shops,
realize
it's good
that.
for shops, I guess, right?
I guess.
Amazon's getting in the comic publishing game too, but that's
Yeah.
a different story, probably farther down the list. And so the first book that they want to do is called The Magic Order. It's by, of course, Mark Miller. I call him Miller because I've heard British people say Miller, even
Sure.
though a lot of Americans say Millar.
Right.
But maybe the British people are saying Miller, but it sounds like
So it sounds like Millar?
or Millar or Miller. Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
It's Miller. It's just Miller.
Okay.
Anyway, so they're doing this comic. It's him. It's illustrated by, here's another fun name, Olivier Coipel.
Okay.
I believe is the poor French pronunciation of his name. And to me, it looks like, a dull Harry Potter. Like Mark Millar's take on Harry Potter.
Okay.
That's probably pretty much what it is.
Like Magicians or something?
Yes. So it is going to stores, of course, because it's we're talking about pre-orders. Goes on sale June 13th, and it is sold through the roof in terms of its pre-orders. It is, it's basically like the most pre-ordered comic in the last 20 years.
Wow. Well, that says something. Good for him, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are. I think it's interesting that they are. That this means they've printed a lot of it.
Yeah.
So Netflix is just going, well, you just make a bunch, right? And
Oh,
that
boy.
leads to the age-old question of, do you, because this is a, business of exclusivity and
Right.
limited, special collector's items, second, third, fourth printing, that sort of thing. But they're just like, just print to meet the demand.
Right.
It's like, okay, Netflix, I can see you're new around here. You don't understand this.
You don't know how this works.
But I've always felt that kind of works against comics because, why not print a whole bunch?
Yeah.
The 12 copies of X-Men 1 I have are worthless, but everybody who wanted to read X-Men 1 got to
a
read
copy.
X-Men 1.
Yeah.
And that might, I didn't do enough homework, but that might be the pre-order that they're talking about. I'm not sure.
Huh.
So, I don't know. I guess I'll read this.
Oh, boy.
Not a Mark Miller fan.
No.
Really at all.
No.
But maybe we'll read this and have a update review on it later in
Okay.
the month. We'll see. Moving on. That's an E3 thing. We'll just talk about that later. Speaking of comics, GameStop turns to comic books as it looks for new revenue growth.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Fair enough. DC-Vertigo relaunches with 7 new titles starting this fall.
I'll click on that.
Oh, okay. I'm doing my part. Yes. So DC-Vertigo, Vertigo.
Yeah.
But now it's called DC-Vertigo.
Yeah.
Is back. We've had in the past Vertigo-esque titles or like Vertigo specials. The Young Animal imprint has recently gone on hiatus, basically folded because of the My Chemical Romance reunion. But
Okay.
anyway, that was sort of an attempt to do Vertigo-esque books. But the real deal Vertigo is coming back, and it's called DC Vertigo.
Okay.
So you don't get confused. And it is
I am
a
confused.
bunch of different comics. There's a comic called Border Town, which is written by Eric Esquivel, who is, he's worked on Adventure Time
Okay.
comics. It's illustrated by Ramon Villalobos. There's a comic called Hex Wives, which is
All
written
right.
by Ben Blacker of the Thrilling Adventure Hour, and illustrated by Mirka Andolfo. There's a comic called American Carnage by Brian Hill and drawn by Leandro Fernandez.
Okay.
There is a comic that I am particularly interested in called Goddess Mode, which is written by Zoe Quinn
Okay.
of Zoe Quinn fame,
Sure.
and illustrated and colored by Robbie Rodriguez,
Oh.
Mr. Spider-Gwen guy.
Yeah.
So that's where he went.
I thought he was quitting comics.
No, he was quitting Spider-Gwen.
Hey, that's not cool.
Yeah. It's who just quit? Stuart Immonen just quit comics.
Okay.
And I don't think he's even that old, is he?
Who knows?
Who knows these guys? They're all just middle-aged white guys. There's a comic called High Level, which looks like a cyberpunky kind of thing that also kind of interests me. It's written by Rob Sheridan, who is the former art director for Nine Inch Nails.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's illustrated by Barnaby Bagenda. There's a comic called Safe Sex. It's written by Tina Horn, who's the host and producer of Wire People Into That podcast.
All right.
And art by Mike Dowling, and a comic called Second Coming, which looks like a irreverent religious take.
Okay.
Written by Mark Russell, who is writing a lot of the DC Hanna-Barbera crossovers.
Okay.
With art by Richard Pace. Who do you see? Who's missing from this?
A Mark Millar type.
It's Mark Miller.
Okay.
Neil Gaiman.
Yep.
Peter Milligan. Mike Carey. You know what I mean?
Sure.
None of the old guard.
Yeah.
So my question is,
It's a lot of new.
DC Vertigo sounds like DC Image to me,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
A little bit.
It sounds like let's take a chance on a bunch of stuff from a lot of non-traditional writers
Yeah.
and then call it Vertigo.
Yeah.
No, I ain't mad. I'm just saying you're really just calling it Vertigo for the name.
Pretty much.
Because I mean, maybe it stands to ask, and I think that we did a Vertigo show a while back. What is Vertigo? Why is
Right.
Vertigo Vertigo?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because Peter Milligan is doing some really good work, the only good work he'd ever do? Is it? What is it
Right.
about Vertigo? Can you just take people who used to do podcasts and do
make them comic artists?
cover art for Nine Inch Nails covers, and now
Right.
they're writing comic books.
Right.
Do they have staying power?
Right.
Are they going to Gerard Way this thing?
Exactly.
That's my question.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Clearly, you're not saying anything.
It remains to be seen, I guess. But it seems like they're taking chances on quite a few people.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think the big chance is, not having old Karen Berger
Yeah.
at the wheel. Mm-hmm. But she's doing her own thing now,
Yeah.
which is good for her.
Right.
The new executive editor is a guy named Mark Doyle. He was the Batman Group editor for a long time.
Okay.
So we'll see.
All right.
Clearly, more on Vertigo
Yep.
on a future show. Wizard World teaming with Sony for Ghostbusters Fan Fest.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to veto this one. You cannot.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about the Ghostbusters.
Okay, fine.
I am afraid of a Ghostbuster. Game of Thrones prequel moves ahead at HBO.
What is it going to be about?
That is a good question. I think it's going to be about things that happened before the things that happened on the best show on TV.
All right.
It is going to pilot, and my thing is, I guess HBO does pilots.
I guess I do.
Yeah, of course. Of course they do. It is co-created by George R.R. Martin and Jane Goldman. It is there's a lot of talk. I think we reported on this on the show that there were 5 Game of Thrones projects in the works.
Yes, I remember that.
But I think the only one that was ever really serious, or at least this close to development, was this one. And so it's Jane Goldman. And the idea is that I don't think we know specific things just yet. It's still under wraps, but it's going to focus on the kind of golden age of heroes of that world and how it ends up, kind of where we are now.
Sure.
Which I've always thought, you say, oh, the Silmarillion, how do you make a book out of that? Well, I don't know.
Right.
The only problem that I see is that it's not a thing where it's Solo, a story about Solo in wars that have stars in them that are by themselves, and so therefore they're Solo and they're a story and they're Star Wars.
Right.
It is because we know he's not going to die. There's no jeopardy. Chewie's fine. Don't hit your head on that rock, Chewie. He's not going to. It's fine. This is so far back that you could. Here's a new guy. Now we've heard about this guy. Maybe Ned mentioned him once.
Right.
But we don't know what happens to him.
Right.
You could create tension there. And it's the same thing with the Silmarillion. The only problem is, if you thought the fight against Sauron, where thousands and thousands of elves and men are fighting and he's swinging his thing, Sauron is like a little bitch compared to Melkor.
Right.
Or whatever. Like the end of the First Age where a giant dragon crashed so hard he wiped out half a continent. You've got to get all this on screen somehow. And that sounds expensive to me.
Yeah, it does.
Although it's $1 billion deal for this Amazon show that we're not talking about this HBO show, which is the Game of Thrones show. So I'm just saying, if you're going to do that sort of stuff, you're probably looking at spending a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think they'll bring Ned Stark back?
No, I don't think that it's going to. We're talking hundreds of years.
We're talking about hundreds of years.
Yeah, this is going to be like a First Men thing, probably.
Okay.
So I think, I think there's a story there. Imagine, cast your mind back into the dark backward and absent of time, 6 or 7 years or whatever. Do you ever think that now your favorite characters on a show would be like two incestuous siblings?
No.
Who push a kid out of a window?
No.
So if they can do that,
they
can do this probably.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
You're right.
Are you excited for it? You clicked on it.
I'm curious about it.
We'll take curious.
I want to look into it, so
we'll take a look into it.
So yeah,
HBO Go.
Yeah,
Hobo Go.
Hobo Go.
The Affair star Ruth Wilson teams up to be on BBC fantasy drama His Dark Materials.
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's move on.
I will add that James McAvoy is going to be in that too.
Okay.
That's a lot of okays for something I'm a little worried about, but. Couldn't do worse than the film. James Marsden joins Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
What is his Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Oh, boy. All right. So this is a click for the people who don't know. This is Tarantino's Charles Manson project.
Oh, that's right.
So it's going to be his early 70s, probably coked out Hollywood sort of extravaganza that will feature in some way the Charles Manson murders.
Okay.
The Manson family murders. We already know that Leo is on board in some capacity, and they've been announcing casting left and right. They just said that Al Pacino's going to be in it.
Jeez.
And I thought it was funny because when James Marsden gets cast in something, you don't know about it until you're watching a movie and you go, oh, it's James Marsden. And he walks out on screen.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny that Variety would bother to say that this guy specifically is in it. Is that an effect of him being on the other best show on TV right now, Westworld?
Maybe. Yeah, I could
see that. Things are finally coming around for old Jimmy. Old Jimmy boy. Nobody knows. Oh, and I should say Margot Robbie's playing Sharon Tate.
Okay.
So it's going to have to be some part. The whole killings are going to be kind of a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because she's not going to be a cameo.
No.
Anyway, here's my plea.
Yeah.
Make James Marsden Charles Manson.
Oh, my God.
Come on.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, I could see it.
This is his
Mutton
chance.
chops.
This is his chance. And I don't mean like, don't go quote unquote crazy with your Charles Manson depiction. I don't, we don't want to do a Bob Odenkirk on the Ben Stiller show type thing, right?
Right.
But what if he's just, let's put him in a wig, and everything, and you just draw in Sharpie swastika on his head. He got those later in prison. And the thing is that you don't see it in pictures today, but he was used to be like a clean cut. He wanted to be a singer or whatever. That's how this whole thing happened. Do you know this story?
I don't know the story.
I think it was the Beach Boys, I think.
Okay.
He gave some songs to Mike Love or somebody who was in the Beach Boys.
Okay.
He's like, oh, I want to be a thing. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll do this. And they're like, no, we're not
going to do this.
And he got mad, and the die pigs, helter skelter, and all that sort of thing, like
Yeah.
got madder at the people who had wronged him, quote unquote.
Right.
And so they went to the La Bianca house or maybe the Tate house or whatever, thinking, oh, we're going to show these guys what's what. And they had moved a long time ago. So it was just pregnant lady and her friends and family die. Like,
Right.
it's horrible. It's a terrible story.
It is a terrible story.
Set to a 70s soundtrack.
Oh, do you think it's going to be funky?
It's a Tarantino film.
Oh, boy.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's give him that chance.
All right.
That or he's Tex Watson. Either way. Let's move on. Handy guide to... No, that's not a thing. Greg Berlanti signs $400 million contract to stick with WB-TV through 2024.
Wow. I actually want to move on from that because that seems pretty self-explanatory, but wow.
Okay. Diane Nelson out as DC Entertainment president.
Keep going.
Okay. Joss Whedon to produce freeform female detective comedy series from... I never know how to say this name. It looks like Shobun, it's like that Irish name. Thompson and Rebecca Drysdale.
I kind of want to click on that one.
Yeah, but you're probably out of bullets, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Jared Leto to star in a standalone Joker film at Warner.
Okay. So he's standing in a standalone Joker film.
I'm standing. You're standing.
Is
Why so
Joaquin
serious?
Phoenix doing a standalone Joker film also?
The answer is yes. Yes to all those questions.
Okay. I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't either.
But...
All right, we did it.
All right.
All right, let's talk real fast about movie trailers.
All right, let's.
There's movie trailers out there.
Yep.
For movies that are coming.
Mm-hmm. There sure are.
Movies coming, yo. Let's talk into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm pretty excited about this.
Looking better and better.
It just looks like it's going to be a pretty entertaining movie. I like that Miles Morales is kind of like the main Spider-Man in it.
Yeah, and it isn't just... the story of the picture that I'm getting is that it's called Spider-Verse, so there you go.
Right.
But it'll be set in Miles's universe, whether or not that is the quote-unquote ultimate universe.
Right.
Fine. And that Peter somehow finds himself in this universe. Yes. It actually reminds me of the Spider-Man... team-up crossover that they did, which is basically like a similar thing, like Spider-Man gets sucked into the Ultimate Universe. Mm-hmm. Jake Johnson is voicing Spider-Man.
Yeah, Peter Parker.
I don't know, whatever. And I don't know if it was just a trailer. Maybe it'll look different on the screen, but it seems like they're not using like a super high frame rate like computer. I'm sure it's computer animated.
Sure.
But usually they look so slick and they just don't have a look of like old style cartoons. And it looks like they're using like a slower kind of frame rate, which makes it, I don't know, it gives it some kind of distinct kind of look.
Yeah.
You know, it looks animated-y.
It does, but in a good way.
Just made a word.
Spider-Gwen is in it as well, which I'm pretty excited about.
I have a feeling that a lot of Spider people will be in it.
You think Spider-Pig will be in it?
You mean Spider-Ham?
Yes, Spider-Ham. Sorry.
Jeez. Peter Porker.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
He's kind of the Spider Howard the Duck.
Sure.
He's Howard the Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Can't wait for that. Lego Movie 2, the second part.
Yeah, it looks like it could be entertaining, I guess. But I don't know. I'm not as excited about this one.
Not after Lego Batman.
No, exactly.
Show me a Lego Batman too.
Yeah. Lego Batman was pretty great.
Yeah.
What's his name? Chris Pratt's character is back again. Emmett. And he's still, everything is awesoming it, even though it kind of looks like Fury Road.
I would like to, yeah, which is, it's a visual joke in itself, I guess.
Yeah.
It's getting slightly stale. Mature, let's say. Yeah. What I like about it is, okay, so the whole sort of twist, the kind of the whole dish of the first film was the whole thing is taking place in a kid's head, in these Legos. Fine, but once that we know that, how do you keep it going? Mm-hmm. And the answer is you don't do it by splitting doing a Toy Story thing and splitting half your time with Will Ferrell, and then the kid goes back and plays with the things.
Right.
You double down on the world that he's creating, and so as a joke at the end of the first film, they let the little sister play, and then the Duplo creatures invade or whatever.
Right.
But it looks like we're keeping it in character, and we pick up the film after the invasion, and
Right.
the world is a wasteland.
Yep.
After the Duplos attacked, and taking the chaos that would come from letting the little sister play. But what does the world look like now? We chose to have imagination and not glue everything together and just build whatever. But
Right.
what does that world look like?
Right.
And yeah, I mean, and that's what I want to see. So
Are you looking forward to it?
I have faith.
You have faith. Okay.
Warner Brothers can't do much right, but they're doing this right.
That's true.
I mean, they did the 2 of them right so far, and I
That's
didn't
true.
see Ninjago, so I'm not counting that one.
Nope. Not counting that one either.
Yeah, they seem to be getting that right. Disney, a company that often gets things right, seems to be not getting things right with Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah. First of all, the name, which they have to call out themselves. So, yeah.
Bad sign.
That it is a bad sign.
You'd think getting all the Disney princesses together would be like, wow,
Yeah.
here's a chance to actually do that. That makes sense.
Yep.
And isn't just some underpaid actor on the streets of Disneyland.
Yeah.
Does it seem sweaty to you? It
Little
just seems
bit.
so sweaty.
Yeah.
And your entire revelation is we're all horribly abused?
Yes.
Whoa!
So funny.
This is my laugh.
Yeah.
I don't know why I push on my belly when I do that.
Because you're
doesn't-
forcing it to go up and down
This
because
isn't
it
video.
would normally
This
do.
is audio. Maybe that's what it is.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks really bad.
It doesn't look great.
And they're going to the internet.
Yes.
Oh, so isn't that just the Emoji Movie?
Pretty much.
It looks like, yeah, it is the Emoji
Yeah.
Movie.
I know. We're going to show Google and Amazon and
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to like glurk, page search, page look, page
Sure.
guy, to having some fake thing.
Yeah.
It's not like when in like Tron Uprising or whatever it was called, like, oh, we're gonna buy these shares of Amazon, and
Right.
Jeff Bezos is played by Cillian Murphy or something
Right.
for 2 seconds in the film.
Right.
You get out of here, parachute guy.
Right.
I don't remember that movie very well, or what it was called. Yeah, this doesn't look great.
No.
It looks pretty bad. How about one more? How about the Mortal Instruments?
I don't know. To me, it's like maybe I'd be more excited about this if I read the books.
I doubt it.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
It just looks underwhelming and kind of like underbaked.
It looks really, it's like one of those films that's just like assaults you. It just, just bangs you in the eyes and you're like,
Yeah.
please stop. Please stop. There is so what is it? Like it's a steampunky sort of,
Right.
steampunky sort of adventure where
End of world
here's the
sort of
conceit.
thing.
The cities are vehicles.
Yep.
For some reason that you should probably start the trailer with.
Yep.
The ground started eating things, and so we put the cities on wheels or something.
Something like that.
Why are they doing this?
I don't know.
Let us know that.
Yeah.
Sell me on it. Mm-hmm. In a world where the ground eats things. Something like that. But yeah, so it's that. Hugo Weaving's too good to put the Red Skull makeup on again, but he'll do this.
Right.
And some girl's going to get some revenge, and she's going to do it, and London is eating things, and
Right.
that's what it is. And there is a look that this should have that I don't think it has. It has this bright, shiny, Weta Workshop, Lord of the Rings look to it,
Yeah.
as it should, because it is Weta Workshop. This is a Peter Jackson-produced
Right.
film. But it shouldn't. This should be a dark,
Gritty.
smoky, where's the steam
Yeah.
for these punks? And so it just has a very visually jarring look to me. It'd be like if you turned on Sesame Street and it looked like Dark Shadows or something like that.
Right.
You expect, the visual sort of metaphor or presentation to match what's going on, and I just don't feel like it does.
No, I don't think it does either. And I don't know. I find myself just not caring.
Well, it's okay. It's okay to not care.
I know, but I feel like I should care because it's Peter Jackson. So.
Oh, honey, that hasn't.
I feel like it's telling me.
That hasn't mattered for a while.
Oh, really?
Do you like The Lovely Bones then, huh? Pretty good.
No.
Oh, you didn't see that one?
No.
Okay. Same problem.
Okay.
Same problem. Little girl's dead. Stanley Tucci killed her.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? Movies. Should they continue?
What?
Should movies continue to be a thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Oh, bold statement. Let's see if that one pays off. I want to talk real quick about E3. E3 is going on, and I knew this, but it's been really hammered home for me this year that everything is a sequel forever.
Sure.
And ever, except for one thing, which I'm going to get to. So Fallout 76 was announced. It's Fallout 5, basically, but I think somewhere around 4 or 5, you just start titling them something else.
Sure.
Unless you're Devil May Cry 5, which is coming out. Halo 6 was announced, but it's called Halo Infinite or something like that. So again, they want to drop these numbers.
Right.
There are two things that I want to talk about real fast. Actually, just mentioned, really. Cyberpunk 2077 finally got a trailer, which is all story and no gameplay as far as I can tell, which is a little disappointing. It is by the makers of The Witcher. It's based, I believe, on a really old role-playing game.
Okay.
But Cyberpunk is making like this weird comeback these days for some reason, getting real hot.
Yeah.
And being in bad movies like Ghost in the Shell.
Right.
But still, somehow coming back. So we'll see if this is any good. I don't like The Witcher, but I'm not sure if it's because I don't really like the subject matter. I think it's kind of a, NC-17 Lord of the Rings ripoff that doesn't impress me much.
Sure.
So I don't know what Project Red will do, CD Project Red or whatever they're called, will do with it. But I love Cyberpunk.
Okay.
And so I'm in for pretty much everything.
All right.
And on the this isn't cyberpunk at all. This is what we call mythic sci-fi.
Okay.
Only I think we can't call it that. Because
Okay.
I think maybe Bungie owns mythic sci-fi.
All
but
right.
You know the game Destiny.
Yes.
So hot right now.
Yeah.
Well, there's a new game by BioWare called Anthem that everybody's been talking about for a long time, and it is going to be a multiplayer game that's very similar to Destiny. And when I say very similar, I mean very similar. Let's go to our girl on the street. Hey, so you don't know anything about any of these games, right?
Right.
And then I showed you some clips from Destiny.
Yep.
And then I showed you some clips from Anthem. But I told you that the Anthem clips were from a game called Anthem. If I hadn't, would you have known that they were not the same game?
I don't know that I would have known.
Thanks, woman on the street.
To be perfectly honest.
Buy some new shoes.
All right.
Yeah, so that's the thing with Anthem. Now, I have to confess, I never wanted to. I know there's no future in it, and all you do is just get yelled at by 13-year-olds and called queer. But I've been getting into that Destiny.
Yeah.
I do enjoy Destiny. I think that they've done a lot of good work to make Destiny 2 a lot better than Destiny 1.
That's good.
And they figured it out. No loot boxes. They don't do loot boxes. That's
Good.
EA. That's Anthem. Although they have said that there won't be any loot boxes in Anthem. What I don't like is that the game's $60 and then they keep giving you more stuff and it's $20 a pop every time. Now it is new stuff, but you're going to have like $200 for me by the time I put this thing down.
Right.
And pick something else up. So Anthem, there's a really great gameplay trailer that if that is to be believed, it's real gameplay. It looks really good. It's an open world game. It's going to be less of a multiplayer shooter or like MMO like Destiny is. Apparently it's going to be more story based, which I'll believe when I see, but it will have a co-op campaign and some open world interact with other people type stuff.
Okay.
It looks like Destiny meets Iron Man.
Nice.
Because there's a lot of like suit up and like putting a thing on.
Right.
Cling, superhero landing.
Right.
One fist down.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Should be good.
If you ever played a video game, what would it be?
I don't know. Kingdom Hearts. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
Because, see that over there? You know what that is?
I know.
That's a PlayStation 2.
I know.
See what's next to it?
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts.
Now, it is the Game of the Year Classics Edition. It's Kingdom Hearts.
Yep.
Want me to buy one of those boxes that lets you stream PS2 and then we'll put you on the Twitch?
Oh, God, that sounds terrifying. because I will get turned around in a game and I'll get stuck.
Look for that coming up soon, listeners. It's going to happen. I guarantee. She didn't really have a theme song, does she?
No.
She must. At some point on the Adam West show, she's probably got like a leitmotif or something like that.
Probably.
Yeah, how do you have Eartha Kitt and she doesn't sing her own theme song?
That's a good question.
I'm cleaning my claws. Got some paws. Wow, baby. Like that sort of thing?
Yes.
She has to.
Yes.
But she doesn't. She's Catwoman, and we'll come up with some theme song later. Catwoman has been around for all the time, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Debuted in 1940 in Batman #1.
Yep.
Comics back then, how many pages were these things? There are like 4 or 5 stories in Batman #1, and Batman #1 introduces, well, Batman in his first ongoing series.
Yep.
The Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Catwoman. Mm-hmm. These are all, and then there's another. The Joker comes back in the same issue to like wrap things. Hey, I'm here again. Second story.
Oh my god,
it's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So nowadays, like you read that Catwoman 2011 New 52 one.
Yeah.
It's like 16 pages of story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we wanted to talk about Ed Brubaker's reboot, relaunch, revamp, if you will, of the character of Catwoman, which he did in 2002. And is seen generally as the best Catwoman, although we're going to put that up to debate.
Yeah.
And to do so, we needed to really drink the milk. Really understand. Really get the fur all over us.
Oh, boy.
And get the roller brushes out.
Yes.
And trying to figure out what's going on here. And so we read pretty much Catwoman's first appearances over a lot of her time.
Yes.
With DC Comics.
Mm-hmm. We sure
Starting with Batman #1.
Yeah.
1940.
Yeah.
Where she appears in a story. And she is just the cat.
She is just the cat.
The cat. Created by... Well, let's just put it first. Created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane. I guess Bob Kane did create the cat or whatever. If you don't know, what is it called? Looking for Bill? What's that? There's a documentary about Bill Finger, which is not... I don't think it's a great documentary. It's really more about the journey of the guy who wrote the film.
Okay.
It's really about him succeeding. It's very self-aggrandizing about him. But if you don't know the story of Bill Finger, it does tell you the story of Bill Finger.
Okay.
So you got that.
All right.
And, of course, we know that Bob Kane came up with the idea for a Batman, but it was Bill Finger that gave you everything that there is. The Batcave, Alfred, the gloves, the Batrope, Batarang.
Robin.
Along with Jerry Robinson, created the Joker, Catwoman, just everything you know.
Right.
Batman. But anyway, apparently Bob Kane helped out, I guess. Okay. Or at least there's a lot of quotes by him. Yeah, and she appears in this story.
Yes.
They're on a boat or something? What happens in the story?
They're on a boat. They're celebrating one lady's, I don't know what they're celebrating exactly, but they're celebrating this one lady, and she has a lot of jewels.
Well, it's the 40s. It is 1940.
It is the 1940.
So at that, you could just have a champagne feat at any time.
Yeah.
There, right? This is the good times.
That's right.
Yeah. 23 Skidoo.
Yeah.
Except maybe that was in...
So Denny is a nephew of this lady, and he has an elderly friend with him.
Man, you are digging down into this story.
Called Ms. Pegs.
You are really going hard on this.
Yeah.
All right. What were the names of all the thugs?
I can't remember the names of all the thugs.
Yeah.
But Ms. Pegs had a bad ankle. And
God, okay. All right.
But
we got a lot of stories to get through, so
I
you
know.
might want to clean this up.
So Robin's on the boat as a steward.
Yeah, I like how Bruce is like, I'm going to get you a job.
Later. Yeah.
No, what does he say? He says, I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know all the people.
Oh my gosh.
Don't take that cowl off. You don't want to see what's under there.
No.
Why is his chin orange? Yeah, he gets him a job on this boat. And this is kind of like Robin's kind of the star of this story.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
And he finds, like, Denny has this note that he finds that's from the cat.
I know. Signed the cat.
Yes.
Hey, the cat, you can just send notes. You don't have to sign the notes.
I know. A little paw print.
He knows who he's having a criminal conspiracy with.
I know, right?
Because now Robin's like, the cat? Who's that?
Who
now
is
I know
the cat?
to be looking for someone.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he thinks it's a guy at first.
Well, yeah. Because a cat would be a guy, for sure.
For sure. He's like, is it I don't know, remember who he thinks it is. He thinks it's like maybe the captain or something like that.
They set two fake people. Like one guy is her nephew or her friend, and he owes somebody money, and he borrows money or something like that. Yeah,
that's right. And then
the
maybe
stocks.
like her
1940. We know that stocks can be dangerous.
Right. And then maybe like her brother or something like that also owes her money. So,
yeah, and I like how so basically the boat gets invaded by some thugs.
Yep.
Because they heard there's a party, one of those champagne feats going on.
And there's a necklace.
Yeah, they've heard about this necklace too, I guess. Mm-hmm. Did they name the necklace? Is it like it should have been the Pink Panther, but I don't think anybody had thought about that at that point. Yeah.
I don't think they named it though.
And immediately Robin just goes ham on these guys. He just starts beating the crap out of these guys.
I know.
And it's got some like, I mean, if Bob Kane's writing the dialogue, it's got some clunky dialogue, but it's just sort of the thing of the time. Because they're like, get that kid. And he's like, you'll have to get me first.
Right.
It's like, yes, that's what getting you means.
I said that.
Yeah,
thank you.
I know.
And then Batman shows up in another boat.
Right, but Robin like beats these guys up, and then he jumps off the boat, and he's got his Robin costume on under his work clothes or whatever. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, better get in costume.
Yeah. And then, Batman picks him up. Not in a bat boat. It's just a boat because that would be crazy.
Right.
A boat that looks like a bat.
I know,
I have to say, Bill Finger clearly knows. Maybe he lived by the wharf, but he clearly knows what a boat looks like because some of these boats look pretty good. Like the yacht that they're on like looks like a cool ocean liner.
It does.
Like he was really trying. What did you think about the art? How did it compare to modern comic art?
I mean, I think it was good.
Yeah.
It was not like really drawing or anything like that. Like, it wasn't like overly cartoony or anything. I think it was good. It was pretty realistic looking.
Yeah, people were still figuring out what they wanted out of what a comic book looked like at this point. And Will Eisner is literally working right now making the Spirit and developing a lot of the techniques that would go on to be used by all comic artists everywhere in the future. So at this point, it's like, look at this, Robin. And then it's like he just reads the paper and Robin's head is a little bigger in the foreground or something.
Right.
And like how do we show Batman break a man's neck with a rope from his plane? That's earlier in Batman #1. Different guy then.
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah.
And to prove it, he catches up to the thieves' boat. They've left the yacht on their own boat.
Yep.
He catches up and then he's like, all right. And he sticks Robin on him.
Yeah, and he sits back.
Yeah, and he literally goes, all right, Robin, here's a little test. Fight these 4 grown men.
Without their guns.
And then he just sits on a chair.
Yeah, I know.
Boy fights. That's like the first boy fights.
Yes.
Boy fights, aquatic edition. And in anime style, they're just on this little, Jaws boat. Like there's a cabin and then there's the back part. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, like in anime, like it becomes huge when it's time to fight.
Right.
These guys are running at him from like 40 feet away.
Right.
It's like, where did that come from?
Exactly.
Yeah. What happens after that?
They go back to the boat. They decide they're having a masquerade there. Batman shows up in his costume. They're like, that's a pretty good Batman costume.
Right.
So they're like, you should win the award. And he's like, I got you one better. Here's all your jewels. I am the Batman.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God.
Right before he does that, though, the prize is this cup.
Yes.
Like a silver cup, and they give it to him. It's like just a old-timey trophy, basically.
Yeah.
Whatever the trophy emoji is, that's what it is.
Right.
And he goes, I'm going to fill it with, and this lady cuts in, drink? Lady, what happened to you?
I know.
I'm here to talk if you need to talk to somebody. Wow.
Yeah.
Even before that, it cuts away from Robin sort of winning this fight against those guys.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to those guys? We don't see them again.
I don't know.
Batman just shows up on the yacht. And this is 1940
I assume
Batman.
They get tied up or something.
He murdered those guys, didn't he?
You think so?
I think he knocked a hole in the boat and they all went down with it. It's terrible.
Oh.
So they get back to this boat and he's got this great plan. I think it's that whole Sherlock Holmes thing where he suspects something, but he'll do something to see if his suspicion is right.
Yes.
So our protector of justice and law and order sets off a fake fire alarm.
Yep. And then he sees Miss Peggs.
And everybody runs out.
Running
including the lame old lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Running at a normal speed, and she's not limping at all.
And that's who it is.
And he takes off her wig and rubs off her makeup.
Her wax makeup.
And
she's
it's a beautiful woman.
Girl before?
And then she's wearing a dress underneath her old lady dress.
I know. It's a cool dress, though.
Yeah.
It's very of the time. And this is her original look. Bob Kane had a real boner for Jean Harlow, so he says that she's based partially on Jean Harlow.
Okay.
But I've also heard that she's based on Hedy Lamarr, and if you look at any picture of Hedy Lamarr, it's Hedy Lamarr.
Okay.
The little wingy hair.
Yep.
It was a style back then, but the shoulders on the dress, but with the drape coming down, like you can see pictures on the internet of Hedy Lamarr that look like that.
Like this.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's like, yeah, that's right. I'm a thief. See?
Yeah.
And then there's like this kind of, it's actually kind of like, this is pre-comics code, but it's kind of like a sexy scene. I could see if you did this live action, I know exactly how they'd do this. Because now he's got to search her for the gem.
Right.
And they got this thing where she sits in a chair and she's like uncrossing her legs and it's like, oh, it's not here. It's not here. And then it's on this bandage that's on her foot. She's got it in there. But so he's, you can see him like running his hand over her leg, down to her foot. And then he takes it off. And
Yeah.
It's hot.
Yeah.
It's so hot, in fact, that our murderous Cape Crusader makes a decision.
He lets her get away.
He totally lets her get away.
Like, she jumps off the boat and he bumps into, you can't see my air quotes.
Because Robin, of course.
Bumps into Robin.
Robin, girl's icky.
Going to go after her.
Send her to prison. Oops, excuse me. Excuse me,
sorry.
chum.
And then he's like, oh, her eyes. Oh, so pretty, her eyes.
Yeah.
Like, he says that like 3 times. You're like, whoa, Bruce.
Hey, she's not Betty Davis. Hold on. Yeah. Which, when you look at it, except for the fetish gear, which would come later.
Yeah.
I think actually in a couple issues or a couple years later, she wears like a mask, like a furry mask.
Okay.
Which actually it's like a cat mask. Like,
sure.
Whoa, she's a cat. But until we get the whip and all that stuff, this is all the elements are there.
Yes.
The idea that she is, we just saw the Joker kill like 50 people in the previous story. Mm-hmm. She doesn't kill anybody.
No.
She's just
she's a cat burglar.
Yeah. Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice job, Bob Kane.
Yep.
She's in it for the money. Batman has a soft spot for her.
Yep.
He's broken the necks of every criminal in town.
Yes.
But maybe not all crime is that bad. You know what I mean? Like, she's just in it for the kicks and the lulls.
Right.
That's all 75, 80 years ago. That is set, and that remains to this day.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing.
It is amazing.
But things weren't always so great.
No.
Catwoman would continue and be really actually pretty popular.
Yeah.
Now, when the comics code comes in 55 and 56, that's it. Catwoman's gone.
Oh.
Yeah. It had to do with, like, portraying violence and, like, portraying, like, women involved in violence or violence against women.
Oh, gee, yeah.
So she's out until, I think, the late 60s, maybe early 70s, until she finally comes back. And by the time she comes back, now we're in the period where this is pre-crisis, so we've kind of got 2 storylines running. There's, like, the Earth 2 thing.
Okay.
So Batman and Catwoman are married on Earth 2. Their daughter is Helena, the Huntress.
Okay.
And so we see kind of an older Catwoman and Batman kind of doing their thing. And all that goes on until we get rid of that, in the mid-'80s for Crisis. And Crisis, you cannot overlook. People talk all the time about Dark Knight, and they should. But you can't overlook Crisis in terms of how it reshaped the way things were going to go forward for DC.
Sure.
And it had echoes that continued and reached into other characters and their storylines and their books. Mm-hmm. And that's where we get the next thing we're going to talk about. which is 1989's Catwoman miniseries, which is, I think, retroactively titled My Sister's Keeper.
Okay.
It was written by Mindy Newell, who had worked on Wonder Woman a little, and that's like pretty much it. I don't think she really wrote anything else.
Is this the one where we find Catwoman in the alley?
Yeah, don't give it away. What you have to know is earlier in the decade, Batman Year One came out.
Okay.
We talked about Batman Year One.
Yep.
Very influential, full-on crazy Frank Miller. It's great if you haven't read it, you should. He sort of recasts Diane.
Yeah.
Frank Miller.
Oh.
He's in a room.
Horse.
No, you were to the punchline.
Oh.
Well, guess what? Catwoman is a whore.
Yeah.
Of course she is.
I know.
Although it's really just kind of suggested, I guess, but we know what's going on.
Yes.
So what I thought was interesting about that is I'm sure Frank Miller has some very interesting opinions about women, specifically about lesbians and even sex workers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But at least he created a strong, doesn't care what you think, can do it for herself, lesbian sex worker character. He did do that. Even if it was for the wrong reasons, he did that.
Sure.
So she's only in it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Year One, of course, drawn by the inestimable, he can do anything he wants, David Mazzucchelli.
Mm-hmm.
Legend.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what blew me away about this series.
Okay.
It is clearly designed, and I don't know who the artist is, but I'm sure you're looking at the Wikipedia page right now and you can tell us.
I wish I was.
While I talk. It is clearly designed to go off of the popularity of that. So we saw Catwoman in that. Let's see the other side. What about what's going on from Catwoman's perspective?
Right.
And so we see this. What floored me, and I guess they can do this, it's their property, but they chose to use those scenes that Catwoman was in Year One and redraw them. Now, maybe you've got to pay David Mazzucchelli again if you use his art, but instead they took his art and traced it, basically. Whoever the artist was literally just did those scenes, but did them over again.
Okay.
It's like doing a cover of it's like a bad cover of a Stones song that you hear in a Starbucks.
Right.
Why did you do that?
Right.
Just play the Stones song.
Right.
What'd you think about the art in this? Well, we only read the first issue.
I liked it. It's kind of like fuzzy, I guess I would call it.
It is cats.
But it's kind of in your face. It's dark. It's
oh yeah, this is the dawn of grim and gritty.
It's
you got to grim it and you got to grit it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the artist J.J. Birch, which I'll just say so you can stop looking at it and actually start talking again.
Okay, all right.
Learn to talk and read and type and look at the same time. That's a skill you need.
Okay.
Yeah, Birch is he's did other stuff, but I was a little taken aback. I know that was probably what they told him to do. I wish they hadn't. Why not show it from a different perspective? I can't think of all the times that I've seen something like I don't know, the giant penny from the Batcave or whatever.
Sure.
They don't take Jim Aparo or whoever drew that for the first time, Dick Giordano or whatever, and just photocopy that. They draw it over and over again.
Right.
This is Jim Lee's giant penny.
Right.
Do that.
Right.
And they even took the dialogue, the exact dialogue. It's almost like Solo. It's like let's find out how we got there.
Right.
No, let's not. Let's just pick it up right after that happens.
Right.
So anyway, what happens in the first issue of Her Sister's Keeper?
She's found beaten up in the streets by nuns.
Yep.
And they're like, wow, this happened on our doorsteps and stuff like that. And it's like, okay. And she's unresponsive.
Yeah.
For the first couple of pages
and when
of
she
this.
does start responding, it's snappy.
That's right.
She's a snapper.
There's this cop named Stanley who comes, and I think it's his last name. And he comes and talks to her and tries to get information out of her. Like
she won't
beat her
roll.
Up. No.
On her pimp, Stan.
Yeah.
Who is the guy that beat her up.
Yes.
And they basically just say raped her.
More or less.
If you're Stan, let's not get into the business logistics of that. It doesn't matter. Stan is, this is something else that doesn't really work. Stan is just like he's a cardboard cutout of a pimp that appears in one scene of a Batman comic by Frank Miller. Mm-hmm. And they take it and blow him up and do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And what we didn't get this far in the series, but Magdalena, the nun that we see in the first scene, is Maggie. That's Selina's sister. She's a nun.
Oh, okay.
Did Mindy, when she was writing this, know that nuns pick their names? Their names aren't like short or long for, you are Sister Mary Clarence or whatever. Your name's not really Mary or Clarence. You pick that name. Your name's June.
I didn't know that nuns pick their names.
All right, screw you.
All right.
So anyway, Magdalena, that's her sister.
That's her sister.
And I think by the end of the series, she pisses off Stan and he tries to kill Maggie and Selina kills him.
Okay.
So it's got a upbeat ending.
Super dark.
Yeah. I resent the idea. This is the 80s, and so this was never going to not be this, but I resent that she has to be pushed into this horrible lifestyle. Yeah. Of course. She was an orphan who was brutalized and raped. She became a prostitute, and she had to murder a man to keep him from murdering her sister.
Right.
Catwoman.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, and Stan also gives her the cat suit, which I think is kind of weird.
Yep.
And it's like, ooh, maybe this is something kinky to wear for the customers or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is like...
And I think that...
Weird.
This has been held up as, kind of she's the modern reboot of Catwoman, basically. Like, this is what we're talking about until we get to the one we're going to talk about.
Right.
I didn't like it either because it robs it of the power, the only good part of Selina from year one, which was the power and the choices that she's making. Mm-hmm. Now she's literally just this woman who is encouraged by a man to go to a man to learn to fight.
Self-defense or what have you.
And then is given a fetish get-up by a man that she puts ears on, and now she's Catwoman.
Yeah.
It isn't like she was inspired by a man, Batman, to... I could put on a costume and kick people's asses too.
Right.
They have that a little bit in this, but...
It's pretty dark.
Grim and gritty.
Yeah. Grim
and gritty. The dark side of grim and gritty. But you know what? I did get one thing out of this.
What's that?
The expression, tomorrow's for Topeka.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. But I know that Stan says, tomorrow's... Or isn't Stan? I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know.
Dumb.
Yeah.
So
and
anyway.
At the very end, she goes out in the suit. So you don't really get to see her kicking ass or doing anything.
Well, it's 4 issues. But
I know.
Only read the first one.
I guess.
So moving it on right along. 1993. It's the year after 1992.
That's correct.
A lot of good facts on this show. 1992, a little movie called Batman Returns came out.
Yeah.
And there's a character in that.
Catwoman.
That was called Catwoman.
Played by Michelle Pfeiffer.
Should we take a little sidebar here and talk about on-screen portrayals of Catwoman? What do you think? Which favorite?
I've only seen that one, so I feel like...
What?
Yeah. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Julie Newmar?
Oh, well, Julie Newmar.
Lee Merriweather?
Yeah.
Eartha Kitt?
You're right, Eartha Kitt.
Anne Hathaway?
Oh, that's true. I have seen Anne Hathaway. I guess I blocked that one out of my head.
Oh, okay. Well, we know how you feel.
I thought Michelle Pfeiffer did a pretty good job. It's kind of similar to My Sister's
Halle
Keeper.
Berry? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Well, sorry.
Halle Berry.
Speaking of blocking things out, he just verbally ejaculates. Halle Berry! Like he's waking up in a cold sweat.
The Michelle Pfeiffer one, they kind of like she's in an alley surrounded by cats. I mean, it's kind of like My Sister's Keeper.
We could point it out now. We'll just do it now. As we talk about these things, you're going to see a lot of repeating elements.
Yeah.
And when I talk about, they redid Superman's origin again, is he still from Krypton? Of course.
Right.
Right. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But when your Krypton is you being raped in an alley,
yeah. Like maybe we could
change that.
We could skip that.
Maybe change some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are Julie Newmar, but I'm a Lee Merriweather man.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay. There's nothing to be ashamed of?
No. Well, there's a lot of things to be ashamed of in this world of ours, but I don't... Yeah, it's so stylized. It's so Burtonized. I mean, she's a great actress, and it is a balls-to-the-wall performance.
Yeah.
So I'd probably have to go with her, too, but I don't feel like when you read Catwoman, the comic, that's not representative of the comic. So is that the best one? I don't know. It just seems like, unfortunately, on-screen portrayals of her have been limited to going meow and then individual sculpted butt cheeks. We have to see not just the crack, it's got to go in between her butt. You got to have that. And
cleavage or the suggestion there.
No, that's the thing about a catsuit is that there is no cleavage.
I suppose that's true.
Unless you're Gilliam March, and we'll get to that later. So what happens in the next thing we're going to read, 1993's Catwoman. Written by Joe Duffy, another female writer. See, Diane, they're getting female writers to write these. That means they're good. Joe Duffy worked a little bit on both DC and Marvel. She wrote this 1993 Catwoman series until issue 14.
Okay.
And again, that's pretty much it.
It's the purple suit at this point. It is
the purple, yes.
Cat suit.
It's the purple cantaloupe smuggler
suit. And her claws are sharp. Really sharp. And she can draw them in as well as push them out.
No, I don't know how. She just does. Comics. Comics, everybody.
Comics.
What you think?
Well, I think that we see her a little oversexed in this version. You're laughing.
You have no idea.
I know.
How bad it's going to get.
I know it gets bad. But, I mean, we see her boobs and her butt quite a bit. There's like almost an under boob shot of her, like from a distance. Like it seems like, oh, her boobs have shadows or something like that.
Like a silhouette?
I mean, there's this long shot of her from far away, and it looks like we're looking up at her boobs. I don't know. It just...
I'll put it into the show art.
Okay.
I'll make that the show art.
All right.
What I thought was interesting about this is that at least it's fun.
It is fun.
And I actually... Look, I don't know. I had a lot of disposable income somehow. I read this for a while, I think. At least until the 12th issue. I think I gave this one a year before it was like, okay, this is not going to pan out. But this is at the height of... Catwoman has sadly always followed the trends, too. She's always been a victim of what's going on. And so 1990, early 90s, bad girls.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who had two boobs and an attitude was becoming an underdeveloped character.
Right.
And so she was getting in on this. It was also because of the movie helped out. But yeah, so you've got Catwoman, but at least she's sticking it to the man. She can steal the diamonds and show her taint at the same time. Come on.
I know.
She can have it all.
She's skimming a little off the top too. Like she's holding on to some of the jewels.
She's overreaching. She's making these sort of mistakes.
Yep. She's working for Bane.
Yes.
Which I find interesting.
Well, this is right after Nightfall when Bane broke the Batman.
Okay.
And basically was ruling Gotham.
Okay. And he puts a mask on when Leopold comes in because it's like he doesn't want him to recognize his face.
It's like his Dame face, yeah.
Yeah. So Leopold is the go-between guy.
So, yeah, right. And he's got a leather jacket and a cigarette because it's 1993 in comics. What I was fascinated by, and it explains a lot, is I didn't understand, having seen The Dark Knight Rises and then reading this again now, how much of The Dark Knight Rises comes from this.
Yeah.
You've got Catwoman working for Bane.
That's true.
She, not in this issue, but previously on Catwoman, she has used a computer virus to erase herself from all the databases in the world.
Yes.
Which was part of her character arc in Dark Knight Rises. She thinks that there's this clean slate protocol that Mendo's going to give her that can do the exact same thing.
There is no more Selena Kyle.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. That explains everything. Because they're like, all right, Dark Knight, great. It's made $800 million. Everybody loved it. Oscar nominations, Oscar win. Right. What are we going to do next? I got a little comic for you. My friend Jim asked me to give this to you. Catwoman. They're like, perfect. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Somebody should have slipped him Brubaker's Catwoman.
You're right.
I mean, she does have goggles, right. I guess, but still.
Yeah.
Whew. But there is a lot of Bane in this one.
Yeah.
What'd you think about her going undercover? That's something, ding, ding, ding. That's an element that we're going to see a lot.
Yes. I think that worked.
Because when she goes undercover, she puts a blonde wig on.
I know.
I'm dumb and I'm a blonde.
I know.
I'm sending it up. Can you see it? Can you see it, readers?
Right.
Or are my tits in the way?
Well, she goes undercover and pretends to be Tiffany.
Oh, is Tiffany the wife of the guy?
Yes.
I actually liked this sequence. We'll spell it out real fast. So she finds out that there's a rich guy in town.
Rich guy and wife.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the boat party in 1940.
Yes.
He's going to have a party, and all of her famous jewels will be there because she's got to wear them. And so she finds out about this. She goes to the guy's place and breaks in and poses as his wife.
Yes.
And
apparently
she does it.
They're the same size.
Well, hold on. So you always go right to the punchline. You got to set the joke up
all
first.
right.
So she 3.5 years. We'll get there. So she turns the lights off and she comes out in just a towel because this is a comic book.
Yes.
And so part of you is like, oh boy. Also, cover up. If you wear a robe, it's more likely you'll be able to fool this guy who should know his wife intimately.
Right.
But anyway, the husband's like, oh, honey, can't wait to see you downstairs with your jewels on. Let me help you put them on. She's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And then she takes off, and then the wife comes in, and she's like, where are my jewels?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What I liked about that was, and she even makes the point, Selena in the book, I don't have to claw everybody's face.
Right.
I'm smart. Sometimes I can do stuff like this.
Right.
And I picked her, like you said, because we're the same size. Mm-hmm. Now, the panel she says that in, she's in the foreground, and her gigantic tit takes up half of the panel.
I know.
Unintentional?
I don't know.
There's a fine line between stupid and genius.
I know.
And a genius pretending to be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Those three things. Anyway, I thought that sequence was neat because it was. It also showed her, she got one over on a man.
Right.
But without wanting to cut his nuts off like Frank Miller's. This is a good balance. Mm-hmm. Except even though the character cannot balance.
Right. Because her boobs are so huge.
Okay, that was a joke. Yeah. And then it ends with her apartment blowing up.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. Pay attention. That's going to happen a couple times.
I know.
Hey, if she's not raped in an alley, we're doing good. On our way to what we're finally supposed to be talking about, I want to mention real fast, in between this and the Ed Brubaker stuff, we get Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb's Dark Victory, A Long Halloween. They did a Catwoman solo story called Catwoman When in Rome. So these are the high times for Catwoman. She's starting to get more connections. She hates the crime family, whatever they're called. Hey, Doc, I'm seeing things.
Right.
Falcone, is that what it is?
Maybe.
Carmen Falcone. We're seeing that she's more than just a lady who steals stuff and then Batman goes, quiet or pop a spank.
Right.
It was 1940. But I think all those things really help bring the character back. That brings us to 2002 or 2001, I guess. Ed Brubaker is working on Batman, and he's writing backup stories, which are just 8-page or 6-page stories in the back of Detective Comics about a character called Slam Bradley, who is a total ripoff of Dick Tracy, I believe created by Will Eisner. And he is on a case, and the case is somebody's hired him to confirm that Selena Kyle is dead. We've heard that Selena Kyle is dead.
Okay.
So he goes through all this stuff, he's punching fools, and he's a good detective, he finds Selena Kyle.
Yeah.
And she basically says, everybody thinks I'm dead, I want them to think that, but, here's my number, hold on to it, maybe we could work together, you could help me out or something like that. He seemed like a nice guy. Everybody loved those.
Yeah.
And there's a great story by Brubaker that he tells where they basically came to Brubaker and said, do you want to do Catwoman? You're doing Batman or whatever. It's doing great. And he says, I only want to do it if you let me do what I want to do, which is I want to make the character cooler. There's this artist, Darwin Cook, that I want to have, but it's going to be impossible to get him. He's doing this project called New Frontiers, which is kind of like a revamp of the Justice League. Well, Darwin Cook says, yeah, absolutely. Let me clear my schedule and do it. So now we've got him on board.
Okay.
DC sees what they're working on and says, how about a book? Let's just do a whole book.
Yeah.
So DC literally cancels Jim Balent's Catwoman.
Oh, wow.
Which wasn't Balent. It was still going on without him, but it was, channel smuggling Catwoman. Cancel it, make the writer write in a element in the last issue that she's thought to be dead in this explosion or whatever.
Sure.
And hand all the reins over to Brubaker and go, take it away. And they did.
That's great.
And they wrote for 24, 25 issues.
Okay.
This long arc featuring the new Catwoman.
Yes. Her costume, I think, is pretty great. It's a cat suit, but I don't know. It's cool looking. It's leather.
It's functional.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's functional.
She has goggles that have horns on them for some reason.
Right.
Kind of like Anne Hathaway in the movie.
Yeah. She's like, we can skip the tail for now.
Right, but the goggles could have night vision or something in them.
Right.
Yeah, she doesn't have a tail. Because it's dumb.
Right.
One problem, her whip is her belt. How does that wouldn't work at all.
No.
Every time she tries to whip somebody, her pants would fall off. But it's like a flight suit. It's a flight suit, basically. Yeah. Which is just great. And it's kind of baggy. I mean, you can still have her booty a little bit if you want to.
Kind of.
But it's practical. You get the idea that it's probably ripstop. It's protective. She's rolling around on rooftops and things like that. Yeah. She's got combat boots.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's neat. And it looks cool. It's distinctive. And that was one of the things that Brubaker and Cook drew the line on, literally, which was, you have to let us redo this.
Yeah.
And that's what Darwin Cook came up with, and I think it's really great.
I think it's great, too.
We're doing the first 4 issues. The storyline is called Anodyne. What happens in this story?
Well, there is a guy, I don't know if you call him a John or what, but he is killing hookers. Well, it sounds...
Oh, Ed Brubaker.
I know.
I thought we could get out of this without dead hookers.
I know.
I've never seen so many dead hookers.
Yeah. So that's kind of the hook. Hooker. Yeah. I see what you did there. Selena finds out about this at the end of the first issue.
And in a ding-ding similar thing, she's back again, tag team. Once again, she has returned from some craziness.
Yep.
And she's in some state of people think she's dead or don't know she's dead. Or
yes.
know her secret identity or
yes.
don't, or they do and think she's dead.
Yep.
And she goes back to her old apartment where it's the perfect hiding place because who would look for her there? They think she's dead.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've seen that before.
And her friend Holly, who works on the streets.
Yes. Holly, who was originally in year 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
She comes and to the apartment because it's a sanctuary type place and she needed a safe place to lay low because somebody's out there killing us, she says to Selena.
Yeah.
And that's how Selena first finds out about it.
Yeah. So Selena tracks him down.
Yeah.
Got to track him down.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, he can't stop killing.
No, he can't.
We find out that this guy is able to change his face. That's weird.
Yeah.
And in what I thought was a kind of cool sequence, we know what happens. He picks up a girl. One thing leads to another, leads to that girl being eviscerated or whatever.
Yes.
I guess I remembered it, or at least I imagined it being a lot more graphic than it is. And that's probably good comics.
Yeah.
When it comes right down to it, they don't show anything.
No, they don't.
But
there's
you
a
imagine
lot of
something
blood
horrible.
afterwards.
Yeah, I still it's a virtual evisceration I put on them.
Yes.
But at the end of the second issue, I think it is, or maybe it's the third, Selena storms in at the last second. She's found this guy, yeah, and she saves this girl. And then has this, I thought this was like a noir book. She has like this full-on superhero fight against this, he turns into this giant monster.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's a comic book.
Yeah.
It works. I like the fact that they can do this. It was a cold night on the streets, like this sort of like noir thing. We've got Selena monologues, internally monologues the entire book. But yet we've got her swinging around and kicking guys in the face.
Yep.
And, yeah, it's very cartoony at the same time.
It is. She even, like, at one point, she's doing a run on the rooftop. She's not in her cat suit yet. And, like, she sees Batman, and he's fighting some guys. And there's this guy from behind that Batman didn't notice that had a gun. And she was like, oh, no. And she drops a brick on this guy's head.
Right.
And Batman looks up, but he doesn't see anybody.
Right.
But he eventually catches up with her later, and he was like, that was you the other night, right?
Yeah, right. There's a sequence near the beginning, or maybe it's in the middle, where she's having a dream. Darwin Cook loves his dream sequences. Mm-hmm. And she's sort of falling through all these different scenes, and I think it's a nod to her previous origins or the issues we've been talking about. Because we see her with the, like, short haircut, like the buzz cut, mm-hmm. and, like, different cat suits and stuff like that. And even the dialogue is her, you know, I've had a lot of, like, starts and stops or beginnings or something like that.
Right.
So it's like, okay, you guys get it. You know that you're kind of like, we're doing a new thing.
Right.
We're not going to, all that stuff exists, but we're
doing something else.
Yeah. Forget about Stan.
Yes.
That doesn't matter.
Exactly. Dr. Leslie also plays a pretty big role in this.
Yes, Leslie Tompkins.
Yeah.
And this is before No Man's Land, where she is a murderer.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't care. She's a murderer, and it's horrible what she did. Look it up. But yeah, it's great to introduce a elderly female character. Mm-hmm. I didn't bother because I just assume, but it probably absolutely passes the Bechdel test.
Right.
She's got another female character in here that she can talk to. This book is lousy with female characters from all walks of life and stripes. Mm-hmm. And I think that she is a great sort of Alfred-esque kind of character to her. In addition to being a medical doctor, I guess she is a psychologist as well.
Yes.
And Selena's talking to her because, let's face it,
she's had some tough times.
Were you listening? She's had some tough times.
Yeah.
Batman beat her up on a boat, so...
She later goes to Dr. Leslie and asks her to get a hold of Oracle for her.
Yes.
Because she doesn't think Oracle will talk to her.
Yes.
So Dr. Leslie does that.
Yeah. And and she constantly says that, you know, she's doing this her way. She's doing it, you know, she sees the film, it feels like a film. The comic sets up explicitly the fact that she wants to operate, or knows that she operates in this gray world, you know, where she can't be Batman, but she's got to fight the bad guys. She's not white or black. She's going to do it her way.
Right.
So, yes, she's going to use, this isn't Jim Balin's give me the jewels, like kind of Catwoman. You know, this is, she's going to steal things and use her strengths to do that. The police are chasing the killer. She is as well. And so she, at one point, she breaks into, like, the police station in order to get the files or whatever.
Right.
On all these dead women. And yeah, I mean, like, she's becoming more of a hero.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And she dresses up as a blonde.
Yes, she does.
Ding ding.
Again. And she tries to get this guy, and she actually has him interested and everything, and then he goes to the restroom and he disappears. Well, she's like, well, of course he's a freak. He can change his appearance.
Sure. Yeah.
And she finds out that he left.
I can't remember. This is another one that I read at the time and went, I think, until Brubaker stopped. And we're talking about dark.
Yeah.
It does get really dark.
Yeah.
Like really dark.
Okay.
I would question the necessity of that, but it's early 2000s DC was, you know, people are ripping heads off of each other and stuff. So I don't know. Jeff Johns, it all fits. But I liked, do you think, here's what I want to know.
Sure.
Is this Clayface? I can't remember if this is Clayface or not. But it really seems like Clayface, doesn't it?
It really does.
Guy's effed up. He is or decides to look like an actor.
Yeah.
I didn't know Clayface was Rapeface.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if he comes. I'm pretty sure he comes back, and maybe we find out that he is the new Clayface. But it seems like Clayface to me.
It does. And she does, with her big fight, she cuts off his head.
Yeah, it's like I feel like Batman would have been like, I gotta tie him up, but she's like, cut his head off.
But he's still alive somehow. She
Yeah.
throws his head in the freezer.
And then she goes and gets Batman.
Yep.
And I love it's one of those great show not tell things.
Yes.
But he shows up and he's like, I told you not to use the signal.
Yes, you really shouldn't have done that.
It's
Selena.
not for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's all part of her. It isn't like she just decides to be a good guy and then suddenly it's easy and she teams up on motorcycles with Black Canary. Like,
right.
She has to go to Leslie Tompkins because Oracle won't take her calls.
Yes.
She needs Batman to pick up this super criminal.
Yep.
So she has to like illegally use the bat signal because
right.
she doesn't know how to get a hold of him. Like,
right.
I like this idea that nobody's asked her to do this, but she's just decided that she's going to do it.
Taking it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the book ends. Like,
yeah.
It ends with a big thing of a big Darwin Cook, pencil drawing of her being like, I'm doing it my way.
That's right.
And the sun is shining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she hires Holly to work for her because she feels like she's not really the greatest man on the street, if you will.
Right.
Anymore. And she feels like Holly can be her eyes and ears.
Sure.
And like let her know if there's something criminal activity going on.
Yeah. No way that's going to go wrong.
No.
So anyway, this was really popular for a while. Pretty soon after this, DC messes everything up. Pretty soon after this, 1 year later happened where everybody jumped forward a year, and then we had to kind of figure out what happened to them. And Catwoman jumps forward a year. She's not Catwoman anymore. She's pregnant.
Okay.
And Holly has become Catwoman.
Okay.
And
that doesn't sound great.
It's not a good story.
All right.
So don't worry about it.
Okay, I won't.
So there you go.
Yeah.
But we're not done.
No, we're not.
We got one more.
One more.
2011.
$2011.
So in 2011, DC rebooted its entire line.
Yep.
To much wailing and gnashing of teeth. The New 52.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those 50s of twos was a Catwoman.
Yes.
Catwoman's got her own unlimited series. Written by Judd Winnick, the guy from The Real World, and drawn by Guillaume March.
Okay.
Spanish illustrator. Really the heir to the Milo Manara throne, in my opinion.
Okay.
And we've got Catwoman.
Yes.
What do you think? What's the first thing we see?
Oh my God, boobs.
Yep, it's boobs.
Do
those boobs have a head?
Yes. Yes, they do.
There's a head on the boobs?
Well, I mean...
Do we see the face of the person with the boobs?
No. No, we don't.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
It's like headless, cut off your women's heads. There's some hashtag that's like, when we just see, you know what I mean? We just see a butt or some boobs. We don't even see that face.
No.
Forget that face.
Yeah.
That's what we see.
On the cover, her cat suit, she manages to have cleavage.
Yeah, because it's unzipped.
Yeah.
And remember how the cat suit was like functional and kind of baggy because it's a flight suit?
Yeah.
Is it skin tight now?
It is super skin tight. Yeah. You see bras, butt, and boobs.
Bras, butt, the 3 Bs.
Yeah.
I like how not only, and DC, there's the DC style and there's the Marvel style. The DC style is, and this is all up in the air now. You can pretty much make comics however you want, I think. But for a long time, it was the writer writes an entire script and also directs things. Mm-hmm. The artist writes what's on the page or draws what's on the page, and in a very limited way, adds or changes things. Whereas the Marvel style is there's a general, here's what we're going to do in the thing. Mm-hmm. The artist draws what's in the comic.
Yep.
And then the writer goes back and puts word balloons and text boxes over it.
Sure.
So I feel like they were at odds with this because all Gillum does is draw bras and bottles of wine.
Yes.
Just like a Carrie Diaries Instagram feed. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. And then in the dialogue, it's like, all I've got is bras and bottles of wine. It's like, jeez, you guys, come on.
I know.
And so it starts with action. She's grabbing all of her stuff, and she's getting all of her cats in the cat carrier, and she's leaping out of the window because gun guys are coming.
Yeah, and then they blow up her apartment.
Yeah, ding ding on that one.
Yeah.
But save it, don't do it to the end, do it at the beginning. Right. Oh, did we mention her apartment? Yeah, okay, we got that. So they even joke about it in the Brubaker thing, like, didn't your apartment blow up?
Right.
No, they joke about it in this one.
Is it this one?
I'm getting all my lives mixed up in this cat world. Let me make all these points about this bad comic that I want to make. And she's like, I got my suit. I got my talkie talk. She calls her phone talkie talk. What is with the infantilization?
I don't know. And she calls her cats her babies.
Well, whatever.
Guess.
Why?
I don't know.
Before, not 9 years ago, they started this comic where she was going to be responsible. She was going to change her life. Mm-hmm. Immediately we start, I get off on this. She's like jerking off to danger. Like the inner monologue is like, I don't know. I just can't stay out of trouble. You know me.
Well, and she's like getting her cat suit on as these guys are coming to
and it's not all the way
up.
on.
And no,
she's in a state of undress.
And you just like brah.
Yeah.
Just for whatever reason. And
she's
flipping through the air.
They did a thing on purpose. Nobody goes to Darwin Cook and goes, ooh, I'm going to jerk off to this.
Yeah.
They picked him for a reason. There was a controversial bit. I think it's in issue 4 or 5. She needs to get some information out of Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. I don't think he knows. Well, I know that she doesn't know that he's Batman. We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
And goes to Wayne Manor and basically like strips as she's walking down the gravel driveway to get his attention because she knows he has cameras and is fully nude by the time she reaches the door or whatever.
Wow.
And they had to censor some of the panels.
Wow. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's all a stunt.
Yeah.
Because DC knew, they were never going to publish that, and then that let Gillen March post, the racier versions on his Tumblr or whatever. And
okay. Wow.
I wouldn't say that there is a grand tradition, but I feel like some people were working on a grand tradition of a character, and you have just helped ruin that grand tradition.
Yeah.
So what else happens in the issue? They're after her.
Well, I have to say she's not very careful about her cat carrier either, because like her cats are like falling out of it as she's like flipping through the air.
There are 17 broken bones in that cat carrier.
I know, and it's just like, whoa. I don't think Catwoman would do that. I feel like she would secure that cat carrier.
She goes to her new friend, because I think Holly might be dead at this point.
Her new friend named Lola.
Who was a showgirl. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff, Jed Winnick.
And she's kind of busty.
She's a fence.
Even though she's wearing a button-up shirt that's kind of conservative.
Whatever. She's a fence, and she gives Selena a line on this job that might be a thing. Mm-hmm. Some Russians are having a party. Yep. And I think Selena's just kind of fishing. I don't think she knows. She just figures there's got to be some work at this like Russian mob party.
Right.
So she goes there. She poses as a bartender and speaks Russian, which I didn't know about, but whatever.
Right.
She's got skills. And she hears about a horse painting that she's like, ooh, I could steal this painting.
Right.
That'd be great.
And then she sees this guy named Renaud, and she's like, he's supposed to be in jail. He's supposed to be in jail. She's obsessed with this.
She has a flashback.
Yeah. And then
Renaud is beating the crap out of
two
her
girls.
friend.
I don't know.
Two little girls, one of whom we assume is Selena.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a pinstripe suit like Stan, but he's not Stan.
No.
Because creativity. Because of creativity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she goes to the bathroom and she's like, what's up, stud? My blonde wig is in the shop, so I'm a redhead tonight. And
my shirt's totally unbuttoned. How did that happen?
Right.
And my bra's showing.
That doesn't... She comes in and he's occupied in the bathroom.
Yes.
Occupied. His back is to her.
Uh-huh.
That serves no purpose. Mm-hmm. She doesn't need to get close to him to pickpocket the key card or anything.
Right.
Immediately after that, she beats
the
6 shades of shit out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because, as Jim Bailiff's Catwoman taught us, I only have to scratch people's faces all day long.
Right.
There's no way I can just get what I want using this.
Exactly.
This that I've got. So it's fully for the reader, which is just dumb. Mm-hmm. It's totally dumb.
It is incredibly dumb.
And I believe that we find out more about that guy later, but who cares? How does it wrap up?
Oh, well, it wraps up with her and Batman having sex with their costumes on.
Yes.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I want to see a Batman and a Catwoman sex scene. Maybe I do.
Well,
but
we can talk about that in a second.
It seems a little raunchy.
Yeah, it seems like the DC Universe has a new villain, Edgelord. Mm-hmm. It's so crazy. And I remember at the time, this was like, oh, boy. And there are people who are like, oh, I think this is a good idea. And I'm like, I think that you are just looking for a reason to say it's a good idea.
Well, and she even says, like, she doesn't know who he is.
Yep. There's a lot of sort of dangerous elements. Not dangerous like you're going to get shot, but like ways that you should not have sex.
Yeah.
With like strangers that you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, he's got back condoms for sure. I mean, just think about it. Plus, there's enough latex in her outfit to take care of them both. Yeah, and that kind of like leads to other stuff. You know, they've with Rebirth, the new DC initiative.
Yeah,
they've kind of put back a lot of old continuity. But one thing that they've kept from it's kind of a runner starting in 1940, but also starting from Hush, that they had a closer association.
Okay.
We've gone past that point where it's like, Selena, if only you would find the light or whatever, I could trust you. He pretty much trusts her and has for the last 10, 15 years in comics.
Okay.
Now they're getting married.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to happen.
Yep.
It's Tom King, right? He's writing Batman right now.
I guess so.
They are going to get married. What do you think about that?
I guess I'm okay with it. I don't know. I mean, has Catwoman changed her ways at all? I mean, she's kind of a controversial figure.
Yeah, mostly.
So
there was a storyline recently where she ended up in Arkham or like Blackgate maybe because, again, dark, grim, dark. But they set up this thing where there was a group of guys, like a gang or something like that, that like killed her friends or something, and then all these guys showed up dead.
Okay.
And it was just assumed that like
she did it.
She killed like 237 of these guys or whatever.
Wow. But
I think she got clear to that eventually, and so yeah, I mean she's just she's anti-hero, and they've kind of taken it to the next level, and they're gonna get married.
Okay.
It's hard to look at this as a longtime comic fan. It's hard to look at this with any. I'm just waiting until. So I can't wait till the Batman divorce issue, or the time warp. Barry Allen slips in the shower and the whole universe changes again.
Right.
And they're enemies again.
Right.
But a lot of people are really kind of enjoying it for now.
Okay.
And I have to say, having read a lot of Bat family titles, there's that word.
Yeah.
The longer Batman has gone on, the more we've gotten into this idea that he is the patriarch of this family.
Right.
I liked where are the drugs going, and like throwing guys off of roofs when I was a teenager too. But as I get older and I have associations and connections in my life as well, I start to see the value in having this character that's been around for 80 years, having those in his life as well. You can't just, when you think about it, 1940, like they brought Robin in immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately they brought a child in.
That's true.
For him to basically be a father. So yeah, why not have a wife? Why not have extended family and cousins? The real dick move is making Superman your best man, though. How are you going to make Clark Kent your best man?
I don't know.
Poor Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's been there from the start.
Yeah, he has.
What the hell?
Absolutely.
So that's fans, but even in world, people are like, why is Bruce Wayne's best man some reporter from Metropolis?
Right.
After we've gotten over, why is Bruce Wayne marrying an ex-con?
Right. Right.
How does any of this make any sense?
Right.
Ultimately, favorite version of the Catwoman. Or the cat, sorry.
I like Dead Brubaker, I have to say. I think that was my favorite that we read.
Is that a trick question?
Maybe it is, because that's the one we read the most of, but...
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But I thought it was pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I also like... I'm not sure it would work now. Maybe. If this can't be Catwoman, I would like to see another character. Like, let's say she's Catwoman now. But like if she retires, or I'd like to see the cat come back.
Sure. The cat came back.
Yeah, people get it.
Very nice
people
day.
get it. Yeah. I'd like to see a glamorous female thief who is in charge
Mm-hmm.
You know, she has male henchmen. She's not like a fighter. She doesn't have to be. She's got people that do that for her.
Mm-hmm.
Who is a thief, like a jewel thief or like international data thief or something like that. And people are like, who is the cat?
Right.
Selena, I've been washing dishes the entire time.
Right.
Because I just assume she's going to wash dishes now.
Right.
She'll never, ever wash a single dish. Are you kidding me? But I'd like to see, like, that's my idea. Tom King, take this and run with it. Have a new cat show up, and people are like,
sure,
who is this? And then we create, like, an interesting, intrigue-filled new female villainess for Batman.
Sure. That'd be interesting.
We'll see.
And it's Selena the whole time. It's his wife.
Yeah, she the whole time. She's like, I got bored.
Yeah.
You're always out late at night.
Yeah.
Never come home. I mean, I am too. I'm a cat, but put that GPS on my collar. Now you know where I am. Yeah, that's what I want to see. But otherwise, yeah, I think Brubaker's is my favorite. But I like the cat. I gotta say, I like the cat.
I like the cat too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that in the very first issue of that Brubaker run, Cook has done these sort of pop art pinup covers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure you saw them in the trade that we read, but
I think I did.
In the very first one, she's sort of like looking sideways, and it's that film technique where the face is dark, but there's a band of light on her eyes.
Yes.
And she looks exactly like Liz Taylor. So I think that was the inspiration for like the new version of the character, the short-haired, Butterfield 8 kind of Liz Taylor era.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
So check it out.
Yeah.
You can get this anywhere. I'll have a link in the show notes if you want to pick up the first trade of this. If you don't have it already, Anodyne. It's a pretty good story.
Mm-hmm.
Continues to be good. There's some great. There's actually a really good Holly story coming up, and present it. She's a gay. She's an LGBT character.
Okay.
And it's not a thing. She doesn't get AIDS. Judd Winnick. This is how you do it. She's just presented. She has a girlfriend. There's not a big deal about it.
Right.
And yeah, it's just Ed Brubaker pushing it forward.
Nice.
Yeah. Is he nice, do you think?
Let's say yes.
I've never met him.
I've never met him either, but let's say yes.
Let's set that goal.
Yeah.
We'll meet him.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. I like this plan.
We'll ask him, was that Clayface or not? Why prostitutes?
Right.
Child arrived just the other day.
Leave my hookers alone.
Yes.
Let my hookers go. That's a different version of 10 Commandments that I'm working on.
Oh, okay. That's a very different version. Yeah.
What is the 10 Commandments porn parody? Go.
Oh my God. I'm embarrassed to even come up with
the
this.
10-inch. Man, there's man's already in there somewhere. Why did we start this?
I don't know.
Let's stop then.
Okay.
Let's stop the entire show. Thanks for joining us, listeners. If you want to find out more about the show or hear what we're going to do on the next show, which I promise I already know what it is.
Okay.
And we're going to announce it on the social medias.
Okay.
Like we plan to do. I might just do it as soon as we get off the mic here.
Sure.
To remember to do it. But we are going to do it. So follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can search for Just Enough Trope, and that's where we are. You can find us there. Go to Mika. Once you're on the social media, at Mika about the Instagram, which is her purview, and we'll be lighting up as we go to cons for con season this year.
Yep.
So keep an eye on that as well at Just Enough Trope. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts. You can go there, search for the show at Just Enough Trope. When you find it, subscribe to it. And I want to let you know that we're not just on Apple Podcasts. We're on Stitcher. We're on Google Play. We're on all the places you can find the podcasts. Do it. Subscribe. Best way to get the show comes right to you when it's ready. Also, give us a review on those sites if you would, because we love hearing from the fans. Let us know what you want us to cover, and we can do that in the future. And at the very least, give us a rating. We'd really appreciate that. That's how these systems and algorithms created by Al Gore, we now know that.
Right.
That's how they know we're doing a good job, that people are out there and they think, let's show them to other people. Maybe other people would want to know about them. And their little songs about hookers or whatever it is. And so I already know what I'm going to do for the stars. And so we can reach more people. So we'd appreciate that. So to that end, give us 5 revamped costumes for Catwoman. What did you think I was going to say?
What
did you think I was going to say?
I don't know.
A new look all the time. And we didn't even cover other looks like the classic gray cat suit, but with the cat-shaped face,
Right.
And then the tail, which is weird. Doesn't really work. My thing is, if you're just drawing a naked woman with no detail, and that's her costume.
Right.
Is that a costume?
No.
Jim Balent?
No.
What about the classy, the purple and green, she had a dress on?
Right.
The dress and the whip.
Yeah.
That was tasteful.
Yeah.
They're just peeping on our head as the Comic Code sun is going down, and we're like, is it safe?
Right.
What about ankle length? Is that all right? And some nice flats.
Right.
Yeah. So
Practical.
You don't want to get wrapped up in that controversy. Give us 5 stars.
That's right.
We'd appreciate it. Like I said, we'll be announcing what we're talking about next week on the social medias. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/JustinNoTrope. I think that's enough. We're signing off for now. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.